Hello, everybody, and welcome to our penultimate session, which is creating a robust taxonomy for DAM, how we did this in 5 easy steps. Today, we have Sanchita from Airbnb. Thank you for joining us today. She's the digital asset librarian, and she's going to take you through how Airbnb managed to implement taxonomy and make it robust. Don't forget to ask your questions in the Q&A panel at the side. I'll monitor those and ask those of Sanchita at the end of the presentation. Over to you, Sanchita.
Thank you, Andrew. Good day, everyone. I am Sanchita, working with Airbnb since about 3 years, and I'm going to take you through creating a robust taxonomy in just 5 easy steps. Now, building a custom file taxonomy for your digital asset library is one of the biggest milestones when implementing and launching digital asset management solution for your team. Now, when that's done right, organizing and finding digital assets becomes a breeze. But to start, where to start and how do we make sure that, we create a DAM taxonomy that is tailored to our team's exact needs? So let's begin with the basics. Now, what do we mean by taxonomy? Taxonomy is a scheme of classification to categorize and organize digital assets. Now, it is a data structure which is DAM built to make assets findable through searching and filtering. Now, with that in mind, tailoring the tailor-made taxonomy is the first priority with implementing a DAM system. Taxonomy consists of descriptive terms used to label assets to make them findable. Now, these descriptive terms make up a specific vocabulary used to describe your team's digital assets, and it's consistent naming system that is used to tag, organize, and find content. Now, the controlled vocabulary of taxonomy, as well as description, date, and usage information are considered metadata, which we will discuss in the next slide. Now, there are a few best practices when building a taxonomy. A common approach is to taxonomy, that is to create a nested taxonomy, which is a hierarchy of parent categories containing multiple levels of subcategories such as in a computer folder structure. And users are always able to access subfolders by clicking into parent folder and high-level subfolders that contain in them. A more recent approach taxonomy is to create a flat structure that supports multifaceted searching, now which is conducted by applying any combination of facets or filters to narrow down the results in any DAM. Now, flat taxonomy is basically, used in few DAM systems and like in Google search images. Now, browsability is very enhanced as categorization is powerful, unlike nested one, wherein, search experience is not as productive without any prior information. It has a familiar structure for end users as well. Now, the second term which we will discuss is metadata before we, talk about creating a robust taxonomy. Now, what is metadata? It's basically data describing other data. And there are three broad types of metadata. One is descriptive, which provides basic information about a file, such as title or author or keywords, etc. Structural metadata. As the name suggests, structural metadata is used to show how digital assets are organized, such as pages in an ebook or images in a brochure. Administrative metadata. Now, this metadata includes the file type, usage rights, who the owner is, and the most important information for any kind of DAM, effective DAM. Now, why is metadata important? Metadata is important as it helps to organize and categorize digital assets and clarifies the information they contain. Now, marketers have to manage a lot of data. So being able to use meta tags to filter, locate, and manage files save a lot of time, mitigates errors, and streamlines the process. Not only metadata provides an accurate audit trail for your digital assets through their entire life cycle, this includes the processes by which they are created, user permissions, and much more. Now, metadata also helps you to improve CRM systems and CRM management and ensures that you are compliant with your DAM and data sharing responsibilities. It also facilitates effective collaboration and boosts your automation tactics. Now, the third thing that I'm going to talk about before we talk about robust taxonomy is file management. Now, file management is just as what you think, managing files such as videos, documents, images, etc. But there is a lot to managing files. This can be all activities relating to storing, organizing, sharing content. Now, which is something that is increasingly essential these days for both individuals and organizations. Now, more reason to make sure that file managing is as efficient and fuss-free as possible. Now, in a nutshell, the primary aim of file management software is to allow people to store and access these files as they need as quickly as possible. Now, as organizations grow and ultimately create more content, this can quickly turn into cluttered chaos if digital files are not managed correctly. So to test the efficacy and efficiency of your filing system, let me ask you, does it take more than 10 seconds for you to find a file? If no, great. If yes, then we do need a robust taxonomy. Advanced file systems like DAM is all about maximizing the value of content operations with benefits, including anytime, anywhere access to your files from a centralized portal. File usage analysis to maximize the content return of investment to discover your winning assets. Now, version functionality to ensure you always get your files in the correct size and format. Simple and secure sharing of files, both internally and externally. Now, how is file management and digital asset management work hand in hand, and how are they different also? Now, DAM ensures tighter control of file usage. As the number of users grow, you may want great control over how specific users interact with your files. Now, for instance, some files may be highly confidential, so access to those files needs to be restricted. Or maybe you're working with a freelancer and access needs to be time specific. DAM automates manual tasks with AI functionality, artificial intelligence here. Now, more basic file management software usually requires you to manually categorize and apply metadata to digital assets. Now, these can be very time consuming to get it right. So DAM solutions automate meta application, that is tagging, when files are uploaded. This ensures searching for everyone in long run. DAM has an advanced file management capability. DAM systems tend to have more advanced organizational functionality than the basic file management systems. This could come in the form of automated file tagging, filter file organization, and versioning, to name a few. Now, basically, it is functionality that is more suited to larger teams and enterprise companies who are having to manage hundreds of files at a time. Now, DAM has content usage analytics. Some of the most advanced DAM systems will be equipped with data analytics functionality. Now, this gives users data-driven insights to file usage via visual charts or reports, etc. So likewise, it can be used to identify how the users are interacting, uploads, downloads, etc. Now, within the DAM system, for a better understanding how users are leveraging this DAM. And DAM boosts user adoption. They are customizable for that. Now, when you think file management software, it hardly gets your heart racing. That's why DAM systems allow you to customize the environment into your own branded look and feel and make it a little more homey. So after these three basic terminologies, now we will discuss how do we create a robust taxonomy. I have created a short guide that outlines the steps that you need to create a great dam from scratch, and in just 5 easy steps. These simple steps can be used as how to guide starting creating your own taxonomy. First one is appraise to ameliorate your assets. That is, appraise your assets. Now, before we begin, you will need to have a scope for your dam system, which assets belong into your dam and which do not. So I would like to tell you that knowing the mission and scope of your digital asset library allows you to quickly determine if an asset belongs here or not, if it needs to be accounted in the metadata and taxonomy. That is why we have created 5 top tips on how do we create these specifications for your digital files. Now, for following these tips, that will help you to think about what digital assets at your organization will be suitable for your dam and what will not. First of all, congregate, that is gathering. In most of the workplaces, digital files can be strewn across multiple devices, desktops, and online platforms. So it is an important step to identify all of these places that your organization stores its digital assets. That is shared drives, Dropbox, SharePoint, external hard drives, etc. Secondly, collocate, that is organizing. You should identify who in your organization owns these assets in each repository. What is stored actually in these repository, for example, asset types and file formats. Now, where are these assets going to be used and who created them? Why do we need to prioritize these assets? So we need to organize first. And then comes evaluate, file formats, which is appraising. Now, will your dam store mostly photos, videos, documents? Now we need to understand and consider which file format you need to plan to store in dam, for example, JPG, PNG, or PDFs, or etc. Now, once you have evaluated your assets, we need to apply metadata. Now, it's all clued up that what kind of files will organization will typically be using in the dam, and then you start applying relevant metadata to each file. Lastly is verification, verify, and then import. The final step, actually, to ingest your assets, and the moment you have been working towards is typically to import. So your files are home, they are inside your dam system, and the content is safe and secure. That was the first step. Secondly, we need to make a controlled list of terms to be used in your taxonomy. A controlled vocabulary is an organized arrangement of words and phrases which helps you through browsing, basically. So it typically includes preferred and variant terms and has defined scopes or describes a specific domain. Using a controlled vocabulary will improve your data's findability, and it will make your data more shareable. Now, creating a taxonomy is actually simpler than it sounds. Consider this step as brainstorming and phase of taxonomy implementation. Now, when you are creating these control lists of terms, it's important to remember that keep the lists clean. For example, a data field month will only have options from January through December. Now, you can analyze existing search behaviors or existing metadata schemas and check file naming standards and required metadata fields, and also start to determine relationships between fields and dependencies and hierarchies. Thirdly, concatenate and document taxonomy. Now, what does it mean to create a taxonomy here? Many enterprises value from the business information they accumulate by organizing the data logically and consistently into categories and subcategories. So why do we create a taxonomy? Using a taxonomy in a group corporate, government, organizational environment allows you to find and reuse that content and helps the users to search and browse for information. Now, once you have created your controlled list of terms, you can now translate these metadata fields and their options into metadata dictionary that list terms and options with operational definitions, relationships to other terms, data field, and types. So for example, if you work with a photography studio or agency, consider adding to your agreement that they will also apply embedded metadata and use a specific file naming standards on all of your files that they deliver to you. Then you have to auto map this metadata into your DAM upon upload without having to manually re-enter any kind of data. Lastly is very important, test and verify. Now you have created your DAM taxonomy, put your standards in place. You have consulted all the right people and right metadata from all other tools and systems and made sure that you have a coaction in your tech stack. So now it's the time to test your taxonomy. You can bring in testers to verify that your DAM taxonomy is properly configured. In these tests, you can conduct audit searches for known items and also for serendipitous browsing. Now, can the users find what exactly they're looking for? And when you ask them for looking for a specific file, now, how many clicks does it take? And is there any missing from the taxonomy that could have helped you finding them faster? How efficiently were they able to browse through the site and find files of interest? Another excellent area of verification is to upload experience. Have your testers upload a variety of different data, assets, and tag them. Do all appropriate tags and metadata fields exist? What is missing and what might not apply to a larger number of assets? Consider streamlining the upload experience by using dependencies and into your taxonomy structure. Now, for example, once a user selects one option while tagging, the following metadata fields that populated are dependent on that selection. Now, verify that taxonomy is fit for purpose and scales to a wider audience. Bring in a diverse set of testers to get a range of feedback from different teams. Now, lastly, update your taxonomy, upgrade as you go, as it's required. Now, this isn't a necessary required step in building your taxonomy. However, remember that as your business grows and changes, the needs of the people working in your business can also change. And when it comes to information retrieval, that means your taxonomy, however future-proof you have tried to make it, may need to adapt as well. Some of the things that you can keep in mind when you are putting your taxonomy upgrades: audit on a yearly, quarterly basis, depending upon the business needs. Now, using search matrix to determine usage in popularity of terms. Examine failed search results. Document updates. Adjustments with DAM taxonomy as a new asset types when it's ingested or introduced. Adjusting the DAM taxonomy as new users are onboarded into the system. So this brings to an end to my presentation of creating a robust taxonomy. And I would like if you have any questions.
Hi, Sanchita. Thanks very much for sharing that. I haven't got any questions in the Q&A panel from any of the audience at this point. I think the detail that you provided there. I'm interested to know, you're right, taxonomy is not set and forget, right? You need to learn from the way people are using it and the values that are there. But some of the challenges can be retrofitting that taxonomy to assets that are already there. Some of it's a practical problem, actually stamping that new value on those fields. and improving that, or even updating those fields. How have you found actually practically doing that in terms of, is it a lot of work to go back and you upload a bunch of content, you apply taxonomy, and you go, yeah, that's what I think's right, and then you start analyzing how people are searching for it. There's a practical level that goes to it though, when you have to, I've got 200,000 assets in here and I have to go back and stamp them. What's your experience been like in terms of actually applying those changes?
Good question, Andrew. Thank you. I would like to say, if taxonomy is in place already, and if it is working fine and meeting the business needs, that's fine. If, for example, we introduce a new level of new type of assets or new function or new process to introduce in our DAM system, and then we need to make sure that the original taxonomy in place going to be working fine or not. If not, then yes, we need to create a new taxonomy for that particular new set of assets, and then new set of functionality or process that we are introducing. So as I said, how much time does it take to find a file? If it takes you more than 10 seconds, then yes, we need to upgrade your taxonomy.
And how are you collating that feedback practically? I mean, how are you getting that information from the end user? Because in Airbnb, right, your users all over the place. I'm sure they're not just around the corner in the office that you can chat to. How are you collating that information? Is the platform providing that information to you, or do you use other tools to collect it?
Yes, we do use tools, and which has feedback at the end of each and every search and each and every function that we do in our DAM. So we do have an eye on our feedback, and yes, we work on all of them. And we have a system called DARL, which is called Digital Asset Repository you love. And it's an internal tool which helps us to, upgrade and have the taxonomies and metadata in place. So all the users have direct contact with the DARL users, and yes, we have immediate flag raised if there is any kind of hiccup, any kind of latency in anything. So
okay, so that's interesting. You've underpinned and backfilled the DAM with a direct support team,
yes,
right? To help the users when they can't find something, to have that direct report. That's interesting. That's a very interesting way of, because there's over many years that I've been doing this, there's quite often someone who's a DAM owner and they're inexperienced, but it takes some time for that to feed back, and having that. So are those people in an IT function, or are those people in a marketing function, or are those people are they digital librarians? What's their role within the organization?
Yeah. They're called DARL team. They're digital librarians.
They literally are a team.
Yes.
Wow.
There are archivists and there are librarians, and that's okay. A dedicated DARL team. Yes.
So as part of your deployment, you implemented that support team to be there and to handhold them. And I guess that helps with change management, that helps with HR changeover and all those other things associated with it. Okay. Yes. So you use that to collect what's working in terms of search. That's really interesting. Instead of waiting on data and analytics, and you actually use direct human communication. That's fantastic. I do have a couple of questions that come in since we've prompted them. What phase was the most challenging to you during the creation of the taxonomy?
All right, that's a great question. First of all, we have a variety of assets. So I would say organizing the assets is the most challenging phase of creating any taxonomy in Airbnb. I would like to tell you, because we have a gazillion, million, billions of videos and photos and assets, users uploading them on the portal Airbnb.com. So how do we organize? How do we verify? What is the extension? Because people do click photos from their phone or from their cameras or from their desktops. So yeah, that has been the most challenging phase while creating taxonomy here. So
that's effectively health management, to make sure that the DAM has actually got the things in the right place and that you've got them organized properly. So your DARL team is there looking at that kind of stuff, and yes, it's a continuous process of observing what's going on. That's really good. Another question coming thick and fast now. We've started it. How do you manage taxonomies and metadata for different languages? for different regions?
Right. Different languages and regions is not much of an issue because we have standard, the language which we do prompt on the portal is English, but then we do have, subcategories, and we make sure that the country and the dialects are attached to that. And we do have a translation, text just right next to whatever we do use as our basic text and what our basic format is.
Okay, so you've got English as the system level language.
Yes.
And then you'll put the language, the specific conversion to the localized language as part of a field that can be searched upon, right? Because some dams are now starting to do things where when you log in and you're from a different region, you get a different language. And in fact, I'm starting to see some metadata fields now going through that automatic translation function where I've seen a few of them in Asia Pacific where you've got, Japanese and the Chinese and the Indonesian and the, there's all those, and having that level of taxonomy value is really important. And I've seen a couple of things where they go off the translation engines and come back and update them. So it is a really important thing. Not everyone speaks English. Okay. Oh, that's a good, interesting point. Now, in terms of governance, so we talked about doing the updates to the taxonomies. How do you document and manage the versioning and update to those taxonomies? How do you make sure from a compliance governance, what is the version of the taxonomy that's in play and what's the next version coming if you're preparing? And I'm sure you don't let the people in the team just willy-nilly add taxonomy values without any formal process.
Yes. Before introducing any new updates or any enhancements on the original taxonomy, we do actually go through UATs. We create, beta versions, and we create UATs, and then we test them. Unless it's absolutely working up and fine, we do not put that live. So we have extensive testing team, and we do advanced tests in all of these, advancements, and then only we try to.
So you got a change process. It's a continuous process by the sounds of it. How often would you do it? Twice a year, something like that?
It depends upon how much upgradations we require. Sometimes twice a year, sometimes once, sometimes more than that. So it depends upon what kind of business needs and requirements and how many assets and what are the upcoming campaigns and programs coming up. So we need to be prepared with our dam. We do have test assets to ingest, and then we try to mirror that every taxonomy metadata and everything is applied, and it's going to be it's a streamlined process. So we do have extensive UAT testing happening for 3 weeks or maybe a month before we launch a new taxonomy.
Right, and then your advisor room.
Yes.
So do you use, further to my last chat on the panel about AI and stuff, do you actually use any AI functions or machine learning levels in your, or do you purely, this is, moderated known taxonomy? Is that all you use, or are you also enhancing it with AI type tagging?
Yes, we do enhance with the AI tags, and we have our own, the Gerald system has inbuilt AI and ML tags and everything. So yeah, it's inbuilt, and we do use.
So it's a mix of both.
Yes.
It's a mix of both. Okay. Well, last question. Are you conforming to a taxonomy standard which allows you to share assets with other systems?
We do use sharing of assets, and taxonomies are inbuilt, are equipped with all of them, but then it depends upon how the structure of each and every taxonomy is used. Sometimes the assets are not used, should not be shared, they're restricted. And so our taxonomy needs to be smart enough to identify that, okay, even if somebody is asking for the sharing right, that kind of taxonomy has to decline it. So it has to be, built in that way.
So, but for downstream systems and other business systems, if you've built a taxonomy that your digital assets are being, put underneath, if that's then used in a digital platform or something or other, is that taxonomy also known and understood in those other platforms, or is that purely a DAM function only?
It depends on what kind of assets are the users, triggering at. if the taxonomy has to decline a particular asset and it's restricted, they will not be able to see it in the first place. So taxonomy is designed in that way. The sharing is not going to be possible if the asset is restricted. If not, then yes, they can order it from the Darrell team.
Okay, so it's an order, you don't have it integrated into your web CMS or anything like that.
Yes.
So okay, I see. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you answering all those questions, and thank you to everyone who's been answering them quite rapidly. So I thank you very much again, Sanchita, for your time today. Really appreciate it. We're going to round off the day. We're going to move on to Shane Appleby from Quagoma. And talk about how they manage that implementation to build bridges and get things done. So that's on in a few minutes. Thank you very much for today. Appreciate your contribution, and thanks for sharing around your steps to building a great taxonomy.
Thank you. Thank you for attending this session, and I wish you a very good day ahead.